Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mission Plus YouTube channel. It's Srishti here. So as a continuation of my Mission Dependent series where I share some of my family's recipes in honor of India's Independence Day, today we will be making Malpua. So Malpua is a type of like a banana pancake that is very commonly eaten in India, throughout India during like religious holidays as well as festivals, but for me personally it's almost like a type of comfort food. So today I'll be showing you guys how to make that as well as a simple syrup that will accompany the dish. So to start off, we're gonna make our batter. So I have about 2 bananas here that have been thinly sliced, and if you're old school you're gonna use a you can just go in with your hands, but I'm just going to be using a masher today. And you want to make sure the bananas are ripe so that they're going to be a lot easier to go in with, and you just kind of want it to be a pretty smooth paste because Malpua is typically not chunky. It's the batter consistency that you're kind of looking for is something that is a lot smoother. You can go ahead and add your flour. So the ratio that we're going to be working with is 2 bananas per every cup of flour. So for us, since we're already mashed up 2 bananas, we're going to do 1 cup of flour. I'm just going to add my cup of all-purpose flour to the rest of the Malpua batter. Another ingredient that I'm going to be adding to the Malpua batter is vanilla extract, and it is not a common ingredient that is used in Indian cooking, but I'm going to use about 2 teaspoons because it'll kind of help add a really nice fragrance to the batter, as well as mask kind of that starchy flavor of the flour. And the next ingredient that we're going to add to the Malpua batter is if you have some like milk or water, you can go ahead and add it. And since I have some leftover heavy whipping cream, I'm going to use a little bit of that mixed with water instead. And like a really common ingredient that I find in a lot of Indian households is milk powder. So by all means, you can also use that mixed with a little bit of water, but just kind of enough to really get the batter going. And the batter consistency that you're looking for is you want it to be smooth and not lumpy. And you really are kind of looking for like a pancake batter consistency versus like a crepe batter or anything like that. So just make sure it is nice and thick. The last ingredient we're going to add to the Malpua mixture is going to be green cardamom. So usually at like desi stores you will find cardamom kind of in the form of a pod like this. So I'm going to use like a mortar and pestle. If you cannot find green cardamom or cardamom pods, by all means use cardamom powder, or you can just omit the ingredient altogether. Right now I'm just kind of breaking up the cardamom pods. Cardamom is a very, very, very common ingredient that is used in Indian cooking. So to get the seeds from the outside, I just lightly bruised the cardamom pods. And then now I'm just kind of extracting all the little seeds before I crush them up a little bit finer. And if you don't have a mortar or pestle at home, you can also like whack them with the back of your spoon on like a cutting board. And then also another thing I wanted to mention is when you guys are creating the Malpua batter, it's best if you like mix everything by hand, because if you try to use a blender, it's just like the batter's just gonna become way too thin and you won't be able to form pancakes with it. And I think this should be good. And using that mortar and pestle really kind of released a lot of that like cardamom aroma with the oils and everything. And so yeah, we're gonna go with this. Get that all in there. Okay, so at this point, your Malpua batter is all good to go. If you prefer to omit the sugar syrup, then I would just add a couple tablespoons of granulated sugar to this batter. So I know for pancakes, you typically use like a griddle to cook them on, but in this case, like you kind of just want like a flat bottomed pan because we are gonna add quite a bit of oil to it. So it's really important that you use something that's a little bit shallower than your standard griddle. I'm just gonna get it started on medium-low heat. And then we're gonna be using vegetable oil for our Malpua, and I'm gonna put enough on here to coat the bottom of the pan. And you wanna use oil versus like butter or ghee because vegetable oil has a way higher smoking point, and that will actually cause your Malpua to get nice and crispy because we are looking for it to be crispy on the bottom. So when you're creating the Malpua pancakes and you're flipping them, you want them to be as golden as possible. So I like to say the more burnt, the better. So these are what they kind of look like when my mom makes them. So I think we're on the right track. I did thin out my batter just a little bit more because I prefer my Malpua to be a little bit on the thinner side, or like the ideal Malpua is going to be like thick in the middle, thin and crispy on the edges. So I'm hoping with this slightly thinner batter we're going to get there, but we'll just have to see. Okay, so we have our Malpuas cooling off, and while we do that, we're gonna go ahead and get started on the simple syrup. The simple syrups in India are a little bit different than like American simple syrup in the sense that usually it's a little bit runnier. It's almost like, think of it more as like a flavored water consistency versus like an actual like pancake syrup. And usually a lot of times they're fragranced. So in North India, Malpua, like the simple syrup that accompanies Malpua, is gonna have some saffron in it. I don't have any saffron today, so we're just gonna go off of raw sugar and water. And I'm just gonna do like a 2-to-1 ratio for the water to the sugar. But if you have any like rose water, that could also be a really good fragrance for this. Just like any sort of like floral notes would be really nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna get my water and sugar ready. And then once it's ready, I'm gonna show you guys what consistency we're looking for. So at this point, our simple syrup is pretty much done, and you're looking for that like golden color. And if you do want it to be less watery, you can like let it sit for a little bit longer. But after taste testing it, it does pretty much taste like the simple syrup that I'm looking for. So there's 2 ways to go about serving the simple syrup. So what I've seen my mom do before is she will like take the pancake and like directly like dunk it and like take it out. But to be completely honest with you guys, I'm a little bit scared to do that. So I'm just gonna directly place my Malpua onto a fresh plate, because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when I was frying the Malpua, I took it out and blotted it on a paper towel because I wanted to get rid of the oil, but it's totally up to you guys how you'd like to do it. So now that I have my Malpua arranged all pretty, I'm gonna go back in with the simple syrup and kind of just ladle it. Okay, so we gave the Malpua a couple minutes to soak up that beautiful, simple syrup. And now we're just gonna go ahead and try it and see how we did. Oh my gosh, this tastes exactly like my childhood and what I kind of grew up having. And this was honestly like a comfort food for me, like whenever I was sick or not feeling well. So I love that it's like super simple to make. We made that with what, like less than 5 ingredients. So I really encourage you guys to try it and tag me on Instagram at #MissionPlus. And I can't wait to see how it turns out for you guys.